boys screws loose, they done strip the bolts on them. Shoulda never sent them to pick up the work for me. Sprayed the park and had my shit inside the car. Marcus Smart boy was shooting with a 36 on him. Said if he wasn't in the rush, they was all goners. Tech cursive on the chest, he was gonna Sean John.
Greetings, Chudlings. Welcome to another episode of Chuddy's Corner. It's Sunday, March 17th, St. Patrick's Day. A little before
Selection Sunday.
Selection Sunday as well. Yeah, we're going to do a little March Madness later too. A little cross sport promotion there. It's about a little before 9 o'clock. Celtics just wrapped up a pretty solid beatdown of the Washington Wizards. 130-104 is the final score. Celtics move to 53-14 on the season. We're here to break the game down for you. I'm your host, Dugouts, and with me as always, Chuddy, King Chuddy. How you doing?
Doing great. Fresh bracket. This is it.
Yeah, this is a big day for you, isn't it?
Massive.
Yeah, so like I said, we're going to break down some March Madness stuff at the end of the show. We're going to give a little info out. Chuddy does his, how many years is this that you've done your March Madness pool?
23, I think.
Yeah, so we'll give a little info on that. We'll open that up to the whole Chuddyverse. But before we do that, we're going to break down the game again. Celtics win 130-104. Overall, what do you make of the Celtics' performance tonight? I mean, these games have just kind of become business-like. Go ahead and give us kind of the breakdown of this game.
Yeah, I mean, if ever there was a business-like game, this is probably it. You saw the Celtics come out, go back and forth with these guys for a handful of possessions, and then just kind of like turn it on ever so slightly, and this thing was over before you knew it. Up by well over 20 by the end of the first half, and it was just zero resistance, really, from the Wizards. You saw one of the worst teams in the NBA, and not only that, they had a lot of guys missing from this game, too. You saw no Kyle Kuzma, no Denny Advia, no Tyus Jones. So, we were missing guys of our own, obviously, Jalen, Derek, and Porzingis out of the lineup, but still, you're playing arguably the worst team in the league, arguably missing two of their three best players. So, you've already got that working against you if you're the Wizards, and then the Celtics just continued their good ball movement and hot shooting from the other night. Arguably even better, at least in the first half, set a record with 17 threes made in the first half.
That was awesome.
It was the Tatum show in the first quarter. He was rolling, and then it was the Sam Hauser show in the second quarter, who had the game of his life, really, and was on pace to be
30 points.
Yeah, and was on pace to be even much more, as really the only thing that went wrong in the game early in the third quarter, Sam, after a three-point attempt in the corner, sprained his ankle on someone on the Wizards bench, I think maybe Jared Butler, just stepped on his foot, backing up, and went down, did not return to the game. No update as of yet, but really the only thing that can go wrong in a game like this is an injury, so hate to see an injury potentially suffered there. Hopefully not too bad. And, little sprained ankle, miss a few games, be back, no problem. But the way Hauser had it rolling, really, I feel like the last few games, but especially tonight, I mean, he was on another level, hitting 7 threes in the first half. And some of those by the end of them were true. Like, he was just coming off a screen and firing like inch of space. It was like
trying to double him too. Like,
yeah, it was like Klay Thompson-esque, honestly, for a little bit there. Yeah. So to see Hauser rolling like that again, obviously got the start tonight with those guys out. It's a little more involved in the offense than usual, but pretty amazing to watch a game like this and think that's like our 7/8 man over there, and like really in any meaningful game he's playing a few minutes and probably just like standing in the corner. And tonight at times, like you said, we're basically running our offense through them. They're sending 3 guys to stop Sam Hauser, and he was still had it going. So unbelievable night for Hauser. And then Tatum, 30 points, but again, I think he only played like 27 minutes. Everyone was out by pretty early in the third quarter. It was the stay ready guys and even beyond taking it home. Amazing night for Pritchard. He had a career high 13 assists. Chance at a triple-double if he did a little bit more rebounding, but really good game for Pritch. Luke, his usual stuff. I think he had 14 points off the bench. Finished in some alley-oops. He had a couple ferocious putbacks, a couple blocks.
That Pritchard Kornet two-man game that was running for a little while there.
Feasting. Nice. Absolutely feasting. No doubt about it. And you mentioned last game how it was like the Jokic-Gordon game. Tonight there was one towards the end that really did look like that, where Pritchard, it looked like was trying to shoot the runner, and then like at the last second midair, he just zipped it to Kornet. So that one was a little Jokic-esque. It really is impressive, though. No, it is great, and it's gone seemingly to another level lately, which is great to see, especially with all these guys out. Obviously, some of these combos have had a chance to shine a little bit more, so nice to see them kind of finding stuff on their own. Really not involving the starting group is cool. And then we had a little bit of a skirmish almost with Jaden Springer getting some third quarter minutes, got tangled up with Eugene Amourier. Weird play, kind of. It looked like, I don't know. I mean, they got double text. It was, I guess, a foul on Springer, but the other guy was holding him for a bit. But I just thought it was cool how the guy kind of did like a hold me back, and Springer just like held him back. Great job by really the whole Celtics bench to run out and make sure like nobody got involved. So, I mean, good to see. Like, I don't think the Wizards were doing anything on purpose, but like of all the things, the way the Celtics are rolling, you think some team might try to throw some funny business at them. So it was nice to see that just like not even 1 second of like a lapse in discipline by anyone, even the deep backups, even Springer was just kind of like smiling and like holding him like, what is going on here? So, just not super meaningful, but again, good to see. Just like no overreaction there by anyone involved in a kind of reckless situation by the Wizards. And then, I mean, yeah, it was. We don't call it garbage time on this show, but I'm not really sure what the fourth quarter was there. A lot of back and forth, but again, it really is cool.
Opportunity for everyone to learn something more. That's what
it was, and it really is good to see those guys out there. I mean, Brissett hustling till the end. Svi absolutely loved. Like he was more than happy to take over the Hauser role of just running off screens and firing the second he catches it. He thrives in that ecosystem. So yeah. I like when he gets a chance. Pritchard, like I said, was racking up the assist numbers. So fun game, business-like game.
Pritchard can come in and play like that point with that group.
Yeah, it's awesome. Really great stuff. And again, really, really the Hauser ankle roll is probably the only negative I could find. Should shout out Al Horford. He had, I think, 14 points in the first half. He stayed hot, shooting the 3-ball too. So missing 3 key guys like that, 3 starters for the Celtics, 3 almost all-stars, and they don't miss a beat. They had 81, I think, first half points was absolutely insane number to put up. Dick Light, did you have a Dick Light special? Right? He said they've had 3 since January 30th. And they hadn't had any from 1990, I think, 1 to 2023 or something. And now they've had 3 since January 30th. So that's crazy. The 45 first quarter points was the season high for the Celtics, too. So offense, even without those guys, just absolutely rolling. Again, part of that, clearly the opponent, but still, it's like, at this point, it's almost like you want the Celtics to have a letdown game because it's like, all right, we're like so overdue for a letdown game, and it just won't happen.
Yeah. No, this was again, it's like, I feel like this game ended up fine. There ended up being a lot of like interesting things in this game. Like, I know when it first was kind of starting, and we've talked about this in a few of these episodes, that these games are going to like, some of these games are going to be like real hard to, turn into something. And with the score the way it was, I think though, like you said, Hauser going for the score, the 3-point scoring record. Like, so the record was 14. He had 10. He played 23 minutes. So you got to think, even if he got another like 5 minutes in that game, he was definitely like, I think like they even said the math on like the show that he was like on pace to have broken that record. So that would have been awesome to have Sam Hauser be, I think it's Clay Thompson has the record right now at 14, but would be awesome for Hauser to have done that.
Would have been hilarious.
Hopefully the ankle's all right. I mean, that one looked, I'm glad they showed the replay, because at first I was worried that it might have been like an Achilles thing, like the way he kind of, it didn't look like he rolled it. When they showed the replay, you could see that it was like the guy's foot on the bench. Like it wasn't like a landing zone thing. It was like he just was turning around to run. That was kind of like who got injured. I think it was on the Cavs or something like that. Someone got injured like with their ankle going like underneath, like off to the side of the court.
Yeah,
I don't remember who it was.
Yeah, I know what you mean.
So it's kind of just one of those freak things. Obviously, hopefully Hauser's okay, but yeah, he's been shooting well, especially just tonight. 10 for 13, he had 30 points. So every one of his points came on just those 3-pointers. Also 6 rebounds too. He was playing some good defense too. He was locking up some guys. So that's obviously that made an interesting story. I think Pritchard, again, I mentioned him a little bit, just the way he kind of gets in there and doesn't mind running the offense with those back of the bench, end of the bench kind of guys. So it's just kind of fun to watch. He's sort of the leadership role. They mentioned this too on the show, where it's like he was like asking for a trade like a year and a half, 2 years ago. So the fact that he's kind of gotten this role and is really getting the opportunity to play these minutes, it's awesome, and I'm happy for Pritchard on that front.
I think, I mean, even in the, you hear requesting a trade, I think you usually think that's like some bad locker room thing, but I think it really was. He just wanted to play and get his career going. And, obviously the Celtics sent out 2 point guards. So this year he's had a legitimate role off the bench and he's thrived and got his extension. Obviously seems happy as he can be. And like you mentioned, he's become like a leader and a steadying presence off the bench. And especially we see it all the time, games like this, where it's truly deep into the bench players. He turns into an absolute all-star. So it's fun to watch and fun to see him kind of get his shine in those moments. But
he's just like a certified hooper.
Yeah, exactly.
some other things just on the game. I thought that the Springer, I don't know why that's a double tech. I don't know what the league, what like the refs expect Springer to do. The guy had him like grappled up like they would at like the start of like a wrestling match, and they like run into each other. Like I don't know what he's supposed to do there. I think that the guy kind of flopped too, especially when you go back to a replay, how you could see that. Thought the double tech was a bit of a cop out there, but the refs overall too. It was like the war. He had like 3 or 4 fouls called him like in the first 2 minutes he was in the game, and it was a real tough whistle for him. So I don't really know. We'll have to look a little bit in his background. I don't know if he's done something in the past to piss the refs off or what that was, but that was definitely some strange stuff. And I also already mentioned like the Pritchard and Kornet 2-man game. That's just super fun to watch.
So pure.
What Pritchard's doing. Just the step like all of them are taking. Kornet had 14 points, 6 rebounds tonight. So again, he just I don't know. It's like I heard Scal saying it on the post game show too. That it's like there were doubts about if he could be like a rotational guy on a deep playoff team, but I think he's certainly proved that he can be that and like even more on some nights when you need him. So.
Yeah, I mean, the typical bench players really all put on a show tonight. Like, it was good to see. Again, I mean, Tatum was out there. He got his, and there were, like, a few stretches where it took over. He had the 3-ball going, but for the most part, he almost, like, sat back and let those guys just have their night. There was no reason for him to get overly involved. It never seemed like he was, like, exerting too much energy. I feel like there was 1 or 2 times the entire game where Tatum took a possession, was like, all right, I need to actually, like, put my head down and get to the hoop. But for the most part, he was out there just happy to set up his teammates, happy to kind of be a decoy almost and let the other guys cook. Because, again, you look at the Wizards, like I said, they're already so bad. You're playing the Wizards bench guys. These are not only, like, fringe NBA players, but most of these guys, even the ones who are good, have basically just come in there. I can't imagine it's a great environment. I mean, they just made a coaching change in the middle of the season. Like, it's barely professional basketball, what's going on there. I mean, there was a few plays, like, one that stuck out to me, I think it was in the third quarter, might have been, like, right before we pulled off all the cavalry, or it was late in the second quarter, but they had the ball, like, baseline inbounds pass under our basket. And I don't know what the play was, but the guy literally just, like, threw a perfect chest pass right to Drew. It was like he was starting our fast break for us, and he just like zipped it up to Tatum at an outlet and like ahead to Sam. But it was literally like the perfect start to our fast break. It was just like, Jesus, what are they doing? So, yeah, they're a tough watch. They're a really tough watch. And Jordan Poole had it going tonight. He had one of his better games.
A little bit. That's another one of those things where I was saying there's like some different kind of stories within the game that make it a little interesting. Jordan Poole, I mean,
he had it going.
Things about him when he gets going and stuff like that. It's super entertaining to watch. Like it's just kind of reminds me of like kind of like that old school sort of like heat check like kind of thing. So
and tonight pretty awesome. He had it going tonight. He was kind of, I mean, I say keeping them in it. They were never in it, but he kept it from being another like 50-point game, I guess, for the Celtics. Because I think he scored like 24 points in the first half. And like you said, he's just, when he's off, he adds nothing to your team. Is just like an inefficient brick chucker. But that's the other end of the heat check guy was tonight. And yeah, it did look really sick. Granted, I mean, the game felt almost non-competitive from the jump. So he's out there. Again, he had been demoted to the bench and had been playing a little better. He's starting tonight. I already mentioned at least 2 or 3 guys were out. So I don't even know. It's hard to like say what their real lineup is or isn't at this point. Because I don't know if we'll ever really see them like all their guys out there trying to win. But either way, Poole knew, I think he looked around tonight and was like, all right, it's my show. And he got hot for a little bit, made it semi-interesting at least. But yeah, it was really just like the Celtics bench is better and more cohesive than the Wizards bench. And that's, for the most part, what you saw out there.
Yeah. Just to peel back a little bit what you were talking about Tatum's night, I think it was kind of that night where he got kind of set the table in the first quarter and then was just sort of like, all right,
you guys got this from here.
Take it over, because it also is like the ultimate, like was just sort of like out there, almost like a pickup game for him, because he shot 8 for 17 with 6 of 12 from 3.
Yeah.
So that means he shot five shots that weren't threes. Like he was just kind of like he's just out there. It's like throw me the rock, like you're like uncle out there, just like throwing the 3-point, like throw me the rock and after you shooting it. But I mean, it worked. I mean, when the threes are falling, the team is so dangerous. And it's just like it can pile up so quickly. And when you're a team like everything you just said about the Wizards. It's just, you know, it's not going to be pretty. I mean, I feel like this game could have been way higher. It's kind of crazy. A 26-point win. We're sort of like, oh, well, that was it. At one point I saw the spread was minus 30.5. They showed it. So it's just like,
they were up, I think.
Live is the most live on.
They were up like 33-34 was the biggest lead. Tatum, again, he came out, he had 18 points in the first quarter. So it really was just like he came out, set the tone. We got up double digits, and he was basically like, all right. It's kind of like we talked about a few games ago. He was just kind of like babysitting the game. He was just in there at that point watching, like making sure everyone was like on the up and up, still doing their job. But again, we joke about it and, these random meaningless nights, but it really is the sign of what a leader and superstar Tatum has become. That, again, people are like begging him to take a night off, and he's like, nope, still out there, setting the tone. He had 3 steals. He's playing hard on defense. And again, all these other guys who aren't, every single night rotation players, they see that coming from a guy like Jayson Tatum. And how does that not fire up the troops?
You're not going to play your ass off.
Yeah, exactly. You're going to let the superstar who has every right to take a game off go out and out. Like, it's one thing that he's better than you, but you're going to let him outwork you when you get your chance. Like, no. And you can see the trickle down effect, because every guy who comes off that Celtics bench is busting their ass, even up 30 points against the Wizards in March. So pretty awesome. Tatum did have one play I wanted to shout out too. It was, I think, late in the second quarter. He had the ball on like the right wing, and he kind of dribbled to his right, drawing the double. It came all the way in, and he kept driving baseline. I think he even drew a third defender, and he made that like one-handed skip pass off the dribble, swung it all the way out to the top of the key, hit Al perfectly for a 3.
Yeah.
It's just an unreal play. And like, those are the kind of plays you see from those, like, do-it-all playmaker type of guards that, make you think twice. So he has those moments where you're just like, Jesus, he is seeing the game.
That people won't appreciate that, but to throw the ball the distance that he did for that, and like from kind of that position on the court, that was. I remember when that happened. I actually I think I audibly gasped or something. That was
yeah. And that was right at the end of the second quarter, and then right after that, that play was almost like the exact perfect ending to the half, where we got the ball with like 8 seconds left. Pritchard absolutely flew down the court. The defender stepped it up. He passed it to Al, who did like a touch pass to Luke, and Luke just like totally biffed it right off his chest and went out of bounds. But it was like, that would have been like the most perfect fitting ending to this half. Yeah. But alas, Luke is human, I guess.
Yep. Yeah, so I think one of the other major things I think that made this game watchable all the way down the stretch. This was maybe a career game for Drew Carter. He was absolutely on fire. He had a couple like hilarious comments. He had the one when they're talking. Scal was talking about how he's like, I'm so excited to come into the Garden tomorrow and not have to work. He's like, I've never come to the Garden and had the day off. And he's like, oh, you gonna throw a few back, Scal? He's like, couple pops for Papa Scal. So I thought that was just like hilarious too. I think Scal was definitely caught a little off guard by it. Also loved when they're talking. I guess they're doing like the all-female broadcast tomorrow. Like, so Abby Chin's gonna be doing like the color commentary, which is Scal's job. And she's like, got any advice for me, Scal? And Scal just like gives like a big thing, like, just be yourself, Abby. Like, everyone loves Abby, just be yourself. And then Drew's like, yeah, Abby, it's not really that hard. Just like say 2 for 1 before the end of every quarter, and like you pretty much be all set. That's something that we've talked about too. Is like, it's just so funny that Scal's like go-to analysis towards the end of the quarter. So he had a couple other.
That was hilarious.
I'm gonna have to look at some of the.
He had a Harry Potter line. What did he say? He's like, these are Muggles. Like, there's no magic in these.
Oh, I didn't hear that one. That's awesome.
Like that.
The one too about Jordan Poole, like when he got elbowed by.
Yeah, it's like that's not the hardest he's got hit in the head.
Yeah, that's not the hardest we've seen him get hit in the face before. Yeah, he was just dealing tonight. It was awesome. So
it's actually funny. I saw a little bit of like negative stuff about Drew on the timeline, or not typically. Yeah, a few people just saying he was almost like doing too much. They're like, all right, just call the game. But I thought it was.
Oh no, yeah,
and I
disagree.
Right, and I think they've done a good job of balancing out, like, if it's a game against the Nuggets going down to the wire, they're not doing all these jokes and talking about what, but it's like this game was basically non-competitive from the middle of the second quarter. Like, they got to fill the time.
What are they supposed to do? Yeah.
Yeah, no, I didn't think it was over the top at all. I thought it was fine, but I thought it was interesting that I did see some, kind of eye rolls towards the broadcast.
He got when Hauser hit one of those threes, and he said like he's gonna get convicted for arson. I saw that got picked up on like the Barstool tour. They like retweeted like the whole thing. So this could be a little moment for him to kind of. I mean, because I love when I hear like out of market like the who's the one? Isn't it Charlotte or whatever? They're like
Eric Collins
or the Kings. The Kings one too, I think.
So Eric Collins for Charlotte is the craziest by far.
Yeah, I love when you like hear like out of market teams, like you just see something on Twitter like, oh my god. So I kind of like that we have a guy, and I do think that he does call the game the right, like as you'd want him to on like a close game. Like I don't think he's going to be donking it up that much if this was.
Right
in the playoffs or whatever.
Exactly.
Like this is a game. Like what do you like? This
is one to do. Yeah,
no. Exactly.
Yeah. I agree. I thought it was interesting.
He had a lot of other funny ones.
I was also thinking too when they were
Bitcoin, that back with Pritchard.
That's it. He dropped a Lord of the Rim for Kornet. Too.
Lord of the Rims. Yep.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, he was all over it. But I also thought it was interesting. They did talk about the tournament in March Madness for a bit, and he was hyping up how the women's tournament is better. this year. And I thought that was interesting because I wonder if he'll be working it at all. Because I know he has done some games for ESPN, and I can see that. So that'd be funny if he was trying to give a little boost.
Plugging
to,
it.
Maybe. Well, it's something to keep an eye on. That's all I'll say. I would not be surprised if he's working a couple games because that's all ESPN and ESPN2 during like the day and stuff. The Celtics have home games. Like that could make a lot of sense. I'm sure there's some games not too far away. So that would be funny if he was trying to sneak in a little plug for the ladies tournament like that. We see you, Drew. We see you. We're on to you.
Yeah, no, this was a career night for him though. It was awesome. So shout out to him for that one.
Yeah, some good stuff.
Do you have anything else on this game in particular? I know you got it preloaded around the NBA too.
Yeah, no, nothing really. I mean, this again, like we keep saying, it's just what you want to see from games like this. I feel like they pretty much nailed all of my keys to the game tonight. Like this is. Games like this is like you just have to go out there and take care of business. That's what they did. Didn't overextend anyone. Again, the big news to watch will be the injury health status of Sam Hauser. But that was really.
Are you worried at all about? I'm not. But are you worried at all about Porzingis just like missing?
So is this going to be an every episode thing until he plays now? Though
did I bring this up last time?
I feel like we've talked about it last 3, but. No, I mean I don't know. They was out there shooting, and they just keep saying like, "Yeah, he's closer," but it's like, okay,
see,
is he actually like far away? Like I don't know. It's
that's my kind of line on it. Like if he's not showing up like in a suit and staying in a suit the whole time for games, then I get a little worried. But if he's still doing like the shoot arounds and stuff, then I feel like it's just better safe than sorry. And do you think we'll see Jalen and Derek White back tomorrow, or?
I mean, like,
or
who
Tatum
knows?
not in. Like this, now it's a little bit interesting because, like, if those guys stay out, you wonder if Tatum will play. He probably will, just because he's a nut. And like Horford, though, barely played tonight. Like, will we see him tomorrow?
No,
definitely not.
There's why bother? Like, I don't know.
Yeah.
There's really no real like reason to. I guess.
All right. Well, we'll keep our eye on the injury report then.
Yeah.
Tomorrow will be just an interesting one. Second night of a back-to-back.
And then we have the Bucks.
Just as shitty.
We have the Bucks coming up. What, Tuesday or something? So,
I think it's Wednesday.
Okay, Wednesday. But either
Tuesday,
way,
yeah. But
we got Pistons. Yeah, and then Bucks on Wednesday. So with the day off, then the Bucks game at home. I think that'll be probably a more telling injury report. See if anyone actually has any real issues, because you'd think that'd be one of the last real kind of like playoff tune-ups we
get tested up.
I would think so.
All right, so we'll pitch it over to around the NBA. What's going on around the league that we should know about?
A lot going on around the league that we should know about. So where to start? I guess we could say that we talked about Isaiah Thomas getting signed to the G League team in Utah. Well, he got a 10-day contract with the Suns back, not where it started. Not quite back where he started, but back to a team he was on. I think that's who he got him from when the Celtics traded for him originally. So good stuff there. Good for IT. We'll see what he can do, and I'm sure he could easily have a moment at some point. Wouldn't shock me. So that was cool. Also cool to see Desmond Bane of the Grizzlies back. They've had a brutal season injury wise. I honestly kind of assumed he would just shut it down, but that team has played super hard. Cool to see him come back, and they've fought hard but lost to the Thunder last night. So I feel like all of our injury news is pretty bad, so I always like to shout out guys who actually come back and are playing. Then on the other end, we did have Donovan Mitchell, who did come back, but said he didn't quite feel right, so he's out again. Getting a little concerning for the Cavs. They're now only 2 games up on the Knicks for the 3 seed, so the Cavs could fall all the way back into that 4-5 situation. It seemed like they had a nice lock on the 2 for a little bit there, but if Mitchell's not healthy, they're in big trouble, and that leads right into the red-hot Knicks, who have been playing great ball. They got OG Anunoby back. They've got basically everyone back except for Randall and Robinson, who are both – we don't know when they'll come back, but this team is playing great ball on both ends. Absolutely ridiculous defense, the way they're kind of holding these teams down. Their scores look like true like mid-90s scores. The Knicks look like they're playing a different sport sometimes than Celtics Wizards was tonight.
I saw they have like only 2 losses, like 15-2 or something with
Anunoby. Yeah. He's been a difference maker. I mean, he's a really, really good fit there. So they're a good team, and the way they play stylistically, they can make it tough. I wouldn't say I'm scared of them, but they wouldn't be my preferred matchup for the Celtics, just because of their style and toughness and some of that other stuff.
We did sweep them this season, right? Were any of those games OG, though?
No, I don't think so. Or maybe one was.
I think
actually.
maybe one.
But either way. Yeah, no, I mean, again, we obviously should beat them, but if you're picking between the teams, like
they're not.
They're one I wouldn't mind. I wouldn't mind if they leapfrogged the Cavs up to the 3, and then Bucks Knicks was the 2-3, so we wouldn't have to see only have to see one in the conference finals. Like, that wouldn't be so bad. But then speaking of Cleveland, they just signed old friend Mook Morris, Flask Dad, Marcus Morris Sr. Got bought out, and he's on Cleveland. So
When did he get bought out before that deadline?
Yeah, he got bought out before, so he's good to go for the playoffs.
He's just been biding his time.
I mean, Cleveland needs veteran wings who can shoot, and that, at least at one point in life, was Marcus Morris. So if it comes to it, if it comes to it, I could see him getting out there. But yeah, I don't know. I think he's pretty washed, if we're being honest. That's just my take. Anyway, getting back on the court, I don't know. Did you catch the Lakers-Warriors game last night?
I didn't catch the game. Well, it was sort of on where I was, but I wasn't really following it.
Adjacent to you.
Yeah, so, it was sort of adjacent. I did see the thing about that. Well, I'll let you go ahead.
So I mean, crazy game, really good game. LeBron had over 40, Curry had over 30 after not scoring in the first quarter. They were both going off. Really good game again between the 9 and 10 seed in the West. So it looks more increasingly likely by the day that these guys will be playing in the 9-10 play-in game. One will be eliminated immediately. So pretty crazy to think, but still a good game with obviously two of the league's best players, even at their advanced ages. But the storyline from this one was final minutes. So LeBron hits a crazy corner 3 that made it look like he was going to, I think it would have cut the game to 4, but they went back and it was shades of that Max Strus play from the Celtics Heat conference finals a few years ago. They went back and said that LeBron's heel actually hit out of bounds. So they wiped it off the board after a long review. Then there was a challenge of, I think it was a Jackson Hayes foul, kind of ticky-tack stuff. They reviewed that. All in all, the review took, I think, like 13 minutes without any game being played. Then they went to start the game, and the shot clock wouldn't start. So then they took a break, tried to fix that. I think they tried to restart 3 separate times, and the shot clock would not work. So all in all, they went over 20 minutes without any basketball being played. It was crazy. Like, everyone in the crowd was booing. LeBron was throwing an absolute hissy fit. He spiked the ball like to the moon, didn't get teed up for it. I thought it was interesting.
Of course.
He's just being so over the top, exuberant about it all. Finally, they just had to have the PA announcer would just announce every 5 seconds. So he'd be like 20 seconds on the shot clock, 15 seconds on the shot clock. And that was it, because they just couldn't get it to work.
That's a great, just like $1 billion industry, and it's just like, if worst case scenario, we're just gonna have the guy being like, "Oh shit!" Like would he, if it got down to like, would it be like 5, 4, 3?
I imagine, but I honestly don't think it ever got below 5 that it was a problem, because the funny part was this was a great game, ABC primetime Saturday night game. And it just got totally hijacked with like a minute and a half left, where they just didn't play for 20 minutes for like no reason. And then after the review, the Warriors were up 7. I think the first play came right out. Curry poked it away, and like the game was basically over. It's just the most anticlimactic ending to a great game after this ridiculously long delay. So
that's awesome. Well, that'd
crazy
be awesome
stuff.
If those two teams play each other.
Which
it's looking like
again.
It's gonna be that.
It's looking almost certain at this point. Another team would have to really drop, or one of them would have to get
really
hot.
Limmy, that's actually pretty sick.
Yeah, it would be pretty awesome. And they're waffling back and forth. They're now tied. The Warriors took a slight lead in percentage points because they played fewer games, so they would host. But it'll be a battle to see who hosts it, and that'll be really fun. Also, Anthony Davis, shocker, left the game. Got drilled in the eye with like a corneal abrasion, so he left the game. The Lakers looked way worse, obviously, without him after he left, especially on defense. He's questionable for Monday night against the Hawks, but obviously something to watch there. No pun intended. Anthony Davis injury is never good. Also, want to shout out the Pelicans, who've been sneakily playing great, and they're just a game and a half behind the Clippers for the 4 seed. So they've kind of shifted the tiers around in the West where it looks like the Pels could make a push for a top 4 seed, home court in the first round. They've been playing awesome. Zion, quietly, ever since the little Stephen A thing, has been playing some of the best basketball in his career. He's been able to stay on the court upwards of 33, 35 minutes, which is actually a pretty big deal.
Yeah,
pretty big deal. Playing great on both ends, great offense, great defense. He's stepped up the rebounding, and he's playing with fire. He's screaming out there. He looks involved, and the team's winning. They're kind of quietly rolling right now. I feel like the Pelicans are not getting much attention at all, but team to watch and good to see, because again, a team that I always say, like, my thing on them is always when they look good, they look like the best team in the league, but when they look bad, they look awful. Lately, it's been a lot more good than bad, so that would be fun to see them playing their best basketball in the playoffs. We already know these West playoffs are going to be stacked, so just one more fun thing to watch out there. I wanted to give them a shout out because I feel like usually when people talk Zion, it's negative stuff and clowning him. So gotta give him his flowers when he has seemed to step it up, worked on the conditioning, and he looks focused and locked in right now and is just kind of going out there and doing his work on the court. So good to see. Yeah. And then a few games today worth mentioning. For one, the Bucks, Giannis sat out. It was a last minute scratch with his Achilles. And the Bucks absolutely pounded the Suns at home. The full strength Suns, they just got smoked. The Bucks had actually even better than the Celtics. They had 18 threes in the first half of the game. Bobby Portis was absolutely on fire. Malik Beasley was on fire. Lillard had a big quarter. He was going off, and they held off a Suns comeback. Interesting stuff there. Tough look for the Suns, to say the least. Then we had 2 buzzer beaters. First, it was Bam Adebayo hit a long 3 at the buzzer to beat the Pistons for the Heat. So the Heat finally getting back in the win column there. Much needed win against the Pistons at the buzzer. And then later, game of the day, Mavericks and Nuggets. This was a crazy back and forth game. The Mavericks were winning most of the game, playing really well. Nuggets did their usual, furious comeback. They walked down a 12-point lead. Jamal Murray actually hit a 3 to give them the lead with about 27 seconds left. Luka came back, hit a 3 to tie it. Mavs got the ball back after a Murray miss with like 3 seconds left, threw it in, and Kyrie Irving made like an elbow running lefty hook shot, I shit you not, at the buzzer for a Mavericks win. Honestly, like, no hyperbole, one of the craziest buzzer beater shots you will see, for all the stuff about Kyrie Irving, good, bad, whatever. Nobody will argue.
He's kind of just shut it. He's kind of been quiet this year, and he's been playing better. Like, I feel like.
Yeah, I mean, he's playing all right. He's
getting in his own head.
Lesser role, but definitely has been a little quieter. Seems to have helped. We'll see, but his shot making and finishing and just like control of the basketball might be second to none. And this was a perfect example, just an all-time circus looking shot that he made. Luka's reaction, he was just like crouched down, like cracking up to himself, couldn't even believe it went in. It was over Jokic. It looked like Jokic had him smothered. It was like full extension, and Kyrie just reached with the left and basically like hooked it in. Amazing circus shot. So 2 buzzer beaters there. I think the NBA got in the spirit of March, so cool to see on a day like today. And then the last thing before we turn it over to full March Madness coverage was, from NBC Sports Boston's own Eddie House having a hell of a weekend out in wherever they're playing. Might have been in Las Vegas, watching the Mountain West tournament and seeing his son Jalen House going off for New Mexico and leading them to a Mountain West championship. I don't know if you caught any of this, but it was just super cool to watch Eddie just totally fanning out. He was in the crowd going absolutely crazy.
That's my fucking
full dad mode, screaming. So happy for him. He was just on the Celtics broadcast and he lost his voice. So New Mexico looking like a feisty sleeper to watch in the tournament too. So should be fun.
Stay tuned after our Pistons preview because we are going to do a little bit of March Madness talk too. Yeah,
but no, that was the last thing I had and just wanted to shout out Eddie there. Like I said, pretty cool moment.
I had one thing too. You didn't mention the Raptors Magic game, an all-time epic jersey swap at the end of that game. Grady Dick and Anthony Black exchanged jerseys, and like the way they stood next to each other made it just said Black Dick. Like they were being serious about it, but they had to have known what they were doing. Like,
I'm sure
hilarious. So that's awesome. That's my contribution to
the 2 rookies
NBA today.
That's great.
It's an all-time jersey swap.
That is
you may not ever see one quite as hilarious as that. So shout out Anthony Black and Grady Dick. Great sense of humor. Love that.
Yeah, a couple of rookies.
The league is in good hands then, if that's the case.
Yeah, I guess so.
We're in good shape. All right, so go ahead. We have the Pistons tomorrow, second night of a back-to-back. Go ahead, give us a little preview of what you expect from the Pistons, another lowly franchise.
Yeah, but a very different lowly franchise from the Wizards, whereas the Pistons, it seems like at least have maybe a lot of their like guys, a lot of building blocks for the future. They have good young players. They have promise. They actually have been playing fairly well lately. So they're a team that can come out and compete. Cade Cunningham's been playing well. He's, hoping to take that step to becoming a star. Jaden Ivey's gotten more of a chance to shine. And other young players look pretty good. Jalen Duren, hell of a big man down low. He will work hard and he will clobber us on the boards if we're not careful. And we'll probably, I would imagine, just have the Kornet and Tillman combo. So I'm sure they'll be up to the task. But he's a good player. Oscar Thompson's been out lately, but he's great to watch. So the Pistons are interesting. They've been battling. But I mean, again, this is a team that if we're focused, we should beat. It's hard to do much prognosticating, having really no idea what kind of a lineup the Celtics might trot out there.
Yeah.
But I think there's a fairly good chance this will mostly be our bench against their lineups. But those games can kind of be fun to watch. Good chance for our bench to go out there and know that, like, hey, tonight it's all you. That you're not going to get a big lead to go play with, and you're not going to come out and have anyone bail you out. All you from the jump. That would kind of be a bummer if Hauser can't play, because that would be a kind of game, you'd think it'd be kind of like the Pritchard and Hauser show almost to an extent. So
yeah,
we might see triple-double Pritchard. We might see 2020 Kornet action. We might see, I don't know. It's like I said, it's hard to say. If Tatum doesn't rest tomorrow, I think we can assume he's just telling Joe.
Never will.
Like if this wasn't, if this wasn't the game,
he was gonna, he'd probably not rest at the home game, although this almost was like a home game for us today, but.
Yeah, well, and aren't the resting rules more like you're supposed to do it at home is when you're like supposed to rest, I think, anyway?
Oh, really?
I think that's like in the rules. Not that they've really been fining people, but I think it was because like the team, the thought behind it is like the Washington crowd only gets so many chances to see Tatum, so when he goes there, like you want him versus like obviously they play at home.
Interesting.
So I want to say there was something in there like that, but
I bet he plays either way.
Yeah, he probably will, and if he does, I would look for a similar result to tonight, where hopefully he only has to play about 2.5 quarters, and the Celtics can just kind of pad their stats and let the bench guys go out and take care of business, earn some stripes and stuff like that.
All right, well, should be a good one tomorrow night. I'm looking forward to seeing win again there. So we'll go now, just real quickly. March Madness. This is your time of the year. I mean, you are obviously a Celtics expert as well, but I know March Madness holds a very near and dear spot to your heart. So the brackets came out today. So I haven't looked at any brackets or anything like that. So I think maybe if you want to kind of say, if you have anything that you think particularly, then I'm going to look at the bracket. And I'm going to in 5 seconds, I'm going to tell everyone what the Final Four is going to be. And I've watched very little college ball this year. So no one take it that seriously. So
good disclaimer.
Tell me what I need to know, and then I'm gonna give a quick Final Four.
Yeah. No, I mean, I don't think there's anything crazy. I think UConn has been pretty clearly eye test wise the best team all year. They obviously won it all last year, lost some players, but pretty much steamrolled again this year. Won the Big East regular season, won the Big East tournament. Overall number 1 seed, so I'd say they're basically the team to beat until proven otherwise. It kind of looks like everyone else is on a lower level. Houston was, trending to be on that tier. They got smoked in their conference final by Iowa State. Purdue is up there too, but it's do you really trust them?
No.
Right. But that's what people said about Virginia, and then they came back and disproved everyone. So maybe it could be Purdue on that revenge arc. They still got Edey there. So
right, I like this.
Yeah, if ever there's a team that wanted to prove it, it could be that. I was very high on Arizona, but they played a very weird style their last few games, including getting bounced from the Pac-12 tournament. So a little more sketched out. I like a couple of the 3 seeds with Creighton and Kentucky, who I think are very interesting teams that could beat anyone on the right day.
Creighton both have UConn, whooped UConn, right?
Yeah, and they both have pretty decent paths that I kind of like. So there's something there. I love the Vermont-Duke matchup. I just am couldn't possibly be rooting more for a team to win in the first round than I am for Vermont to beat Duke. So that would be kind of fun. I'm rooting for
epic.
Yeah, that's Vermont's my mom's alma mater, so I got something there. My sister-in-law's alma mater, James Madison, back in the tournament. One of the only teams in the country to win over 30 games this year. They've got Wisconsin in the first round, so that should be fun. My brother's alma mater was one of the last 4 in Virginia, much to the chagrin of many people for their grinded out style of play, but they still were able to make the tournament. They got one of those first 4 games against Colorado State. So that should be interesting. But yeah, just super excited all around. A lot of fun. Really can't wait. Like I said, Eddie House's son on New Mexico State. They're like a little bit of a sleeper there for sure. We got FAU coming off their Final Four season. They're an 8 seed, I think. They could get UConn in the second round, so that would be pretty cool. Early, obviously, that team has a lot of their guys back. Just great stuff, really across the board. I like Samford as a deep sleeper, McNeese as a deep sleeper early. I don't know where else do you want to go? I could spout off here. Every team.
So I just took. I mean, it's impressive stuff. I mean, I could listen to you go on for a while there. It's impressive stuff, but I'm just looking now. I'm kind of taking a little bit of what you just told me there. I do love that Duke. So that's a 4-13. That Duke Vermont.
Yeah,
all right, that's gonna be a lot of fun. All right, I'm thinking the East, that's going to be UConn. Iowa State's the 2 in that. Auburn's the 4. Illinois is the 3. Again, I watched very little college ball, but I just hear nope, that's UConn. So East going.
But I mean, you look at that. That's an interesting bracket because, like I said, UConn, Big East champs. Number 2, Iowa State. That's who smoked Houston, so they're the Big 12 champs.
Interesting.
Illinois just won the Big Ten today, so you've got the Big Ten champs in there, and Auburn just won the SEC tournament. So the top 4 seeds are all the 4 champions of arguably the 4 best conferences. Pretty crazy.
Well, all right. So now I'm second guessing everything, but I'm sticking with it. UConn staying in the East. All right. Well, the West, North Carolina is the 1 seed. I'm not buying North Carolina. Arizona is the 2 seed. Alabama's the 4. Baylor's the 3. Do you think? What about? I think Alabama. That might be one of my crazy ones.
I like that.
Alabama comes out of the West. South, we have Houston's the 1 seed. Frauds. Iowa State. You just mentioned it, so they're already. I'm already feeling bad about that. Marquette, cute Lil. Didn't they? That's Shaka Smart, right?
Yeah, their best player was out for the whole Big East tournament, so that'll be.
Didn't they still go to the Big East finals?
They made the finals, but they got beat pretty good by UConn. No, I mean they're really good, but I mean it's hard to imagine a team like that missing their best player.
Kentucky's a 3 seed. Oh, that's frisky.
Yeah, they got some.
All right, we'll go Kentucky out of the South.
I like that.
Midwest, that's Purdue. Tennessee's the 2 seed. Kansas the 4 seed. Creighton the 3 seed. Interesting. I'm kind of torn between.
Give me something deep. Look
Creighton
beyond the top 4.
Deep?
Someone outside the top 4 is going to make it. Come on.
Right. No way.
Always.
Texas. Gonzaga's the 5. All right. Well, if I'm going out of the top 4, maybe I should have done that somewhere else. No, whatever. I'm going not super chalky, but I'm going to go with Creighton in that one.
Riveting.
I was like, Creighton.
No, that's chill. Creighton's chill pick. I saw that today. There hasn't been a.
I just said UConn, Alabama. Who'd I come out? Who'd I have? Kentucky.
And then the 3s. So is that 3-3? What's Bama? 4?
4. A 1.
So
3,
1, 4,
4.
3, 3. All right.
That's a little.
No. That's all right. That's all right. That's not so bad. I think I saw this.
Yet?
I haven't filled one out yet. I pretty much it was coming out while I was watching the Celtics, so I was kind of easing through the Celtics, and I will dive in pretty deeply later tonight. Definitely looking forward to that, and then obviously see how the first 4 games in Dayton play out before before you get the ink out, permanent marker, so to speak.
Yeah, no, it's exciting. I'm excited for it. So again, once you're gonna get the bracket. It's on ESPN now, right? The ESPN Bracket Challenge. All right. So anyone who has an account there,
yes,
we'll put out info.
We'll tweet out. Yeah, we'll tweet out all the information. Make it as simple as possible. So I'd say just wait.
It's
watch
$10 and it's winner.
Watch the Chuddy's Corner Twitter if you're looking for a bracket pool to enter, and should be good stuff.
Yeah, that'd be awesome. Open it up to the Chuddyverse. Very exciting. Love this time of year.
It's the best.
It's gonna be a pretty good next couple of weekends. I hope everybody was on their best behavior with their significant others this weekend, because you can put in the work this weekend to go all out next weekend. So
can you imagine?
So yeah, that about wraps up this episode of Chuddy's Corner. I will see everyone back here again tomorrow. Quick turnaround after the Pistons game. Celtics again win 130-104. Make sure you go follow us at Chuddy's Corner on all social media. Follow me at Doug_outs on Twitter. Follow him at King Chuddy. Shout out to our sponsor, Nick Perino. I duffed the intro today. I didn't give Nick the shout out at the start of the podcast. So for those of you that stuck around, shout out Nick Perino Real Estate. Nick
he's been in our ear for 40 minutes about that.
Yeah. Sorry. There's no natural spot to slip it back in, so I'm sorry about that. But all right, I'll see you tomorrow, Chud. Have a good night. Take care.
Peace out, Chuddy Heads.